I smashed HackerRank's Arrays Data Structures Coding Challenge. Hello guys, it's your boy Pascal. If you are interested in enhancing your coding skills for a fee or exploring my software development services, I invite you to chat me up on any of the platforms listed in the description below. I look forward to connecting with you. Now let's open HackerRank. I'm logged in already. HackerRank is an online platform that provides online coding tests and technical interviews. Now let's look at the question. An array is a type of data structure that stores elements of the same type in a contiguous block of memory. In an array A of size n, each memory location has some unique index I, where I runs from 0 to n not inclusive. That is, I runs from 0 to n minus 1. That can be referenced as A index of I or A subscript I. Reverse an array of integers. Now we are given an example. The example goes like this: A equals 1, 2, 3, an array of 3 elements, to return a new array of 3 elements, 3, 2, 1. Now this is the function description. You can go through the question on the website. I'll be putting the link in the description. Returns input formats, constraints. Then there's another example: 1, 4, 3, 2 elements in another array that should be reversed. Now I will be writing my code in JavaScript to be run in a Node.js runtime environment, as you can see. So I'll be writing my code here. Okay, before we write our code on this platform, we first write it on VS Code, Visual Studio Code, and test run on Visual Studio Code. After that, we can come to this website and write the code again. Okay, let's open VS Code. Let me zoom in. Let me open my terminal. Okay, now I'll move to the documents folder. Now inside this document folder, I'll create a folder that I'll call Arrays Challenge. Let me navigate to this folder. It's an empty folder. Okay, now that I've navigated to this folder, I'll open it up. Let me zoom in. Now I'll create a new file named Arrays DS solution.js. So this is where I'll be writing my code. So guys, for us to write a clean code, let's try to decompose the problem first. Let's move to the whiteboard. Problem decomposition. So the given array contains 1, 2, 3. Our output array should contain 3, 2, 1 as the elements. So what we do here now is we write some solution steps from this point up to where we have our output. That's what we call problem decomposition in programming. So it will help us to write a clean code and a correct code. So for us to start, we can see that a.length, from what we are seeing, that the length of the array is 3. Now the index of the first element is 0. So the first element is 1. So the index of 1, which is the first element, is 0. Index of second element is 1. Second element is 2. Its index is 1, as you can see. And this one, a index of 2 is 3. That is, the third element has index 2. Third element has index 2. Now this output, it should be the reverse array. It has to start as an empty array before we start filling it in with values or elements, up to the point that we get it filled with elements 3, 2 and 1. So before we do that, or because of what we've done now, we'll go to our code and do this. Let's write our function. Take parameter a, which is the given array. So we now initialize variable output to an empty array. Go back to the board. Output should be equal to, let's repeat the empty array. What will happen is that from this point of being empty, it will have to have a value at this point. So let's pick the first value here, or the first element, which is 1. If we pick 1, we'll insert it here at the beginning of the array. So that means we have something like this, 1. So let's go and do the same thing in VS Code. So there is this method called the onShift method. So what onShift method does is it appends an element at the beginning of an array. So this, what we just did now is we appended the first element, which is 1, at the beginning of the empty array. The same thing we did here on the board. Second thing we'll do is output equals, let's repeat the elements, or let's repeat the array that's containing just 1. In this case, what we'll do now is we'll pick the second element, which is 2, and insert at the beginning of this output. So what will happen is, come here, write 2 at the beginning, so have 2, 1. Let's go to our code. Let's copy this, paste, change the 0 to 1. What we have just done is we appended the second element, which is 2, at the beginning of the array, or the output array that is containing just 1. Same thing we did here on the whiteboard. So the last thing that we are going to do is what we are looking at, the final step here, which is output variable. And this output variable is referencing an array that has elements 3 to 1 in that order. So let's do this. It has to be like this initially. So when we pick the third element, we insert it at the beginning of the array here. So when we do that, we'll now type 3,21. So that is how we get to the final value for the output variable that is referencing our array. Let's go to VS Code, paste, change 0 to 2. So what we just did now is appended the third element, which is 3, at the beginning of the array that is containing just 2 and 1. Finally, return our function will return output. Control save. Okay, next we test our code. We are going to use Jest to run our unit test. Now I will install Jest. Let me open my terminal. Okay, first I will initialize a new Node.js project by creating a package.json file. Okay, now the package.json file is created already, as you can see. Now let's clean this up, replace it with Jest, because we'll be running our unit test using Jest. Save. Now you're going to install Jest as a development dependency. Okay guys, so our Jest has been installed. So the next thing we'll do now will be to create a test file. After creating the test file, we'll write our test code and run the test. Now let's create a test file. Let's call our test file arrays ds solution.test.js. Now that we've created a test file, we are going to write our tests. So our test should reverse an array of 3 elements. Array function Okay, let's save. Now we'll go back to our JavaScript file and let's export this so that our test file can see it. save. Okay, now let's run the test. Good. Test passed, as you can see. Okay, now we are going to do something. Instead of executing these lines of code one by one just like this, or writing these lines of code one by one like this, instead of doing that, we can just use a for loop. So using a for loop, we can just utilize a loop counter, for instance I. So what that means is, instead of writing this index, we put the value I inside of this. So we can just do this index I. So this index I will take care of the numbers 0, 1, 2, 3. So we are going to erase. So what this means is that I is going to run from 0 to 2. So if I runs from 0 to 2, it means that our for loop will look like this. We'll initialize our loop counter I, and this I will be equal to 0. That is going to run from 0, and this I will also take the value 1 and the value 2. So that means our condition is going to be less than or equal to 2. I is less or equal to 2. Another way we can write this is by saying I is less than 3. So meaning that 3 is not inclusive, but the largest integer that is close to 3 is what? 2 is inclusive, but 3 is not inclusive. So that's how we have less than 3 there. Now we have our increment operator, the loop counter plus plus. Increment operator, so it increases the value of I by 1. So we'll do this. So let's copy this and put inside here. Okay, let's save. Now we are going to run our test again and see what happens. Good. Test passed. Guys, if you look at this code very well, you discover that the size of the array we are testing here is 3. So that is why in our test file we said this test should reverse an array of 3 elements. So because it can only take care of 3 elements, if you try to reverse an array of 4 elements or any other size, the test will not be passed. Okay, let's try this. Let's go to the platform HackerRank. There is another array example given, an array with elements 1, 4, 3, 2. Okay, we are going to test this. Let's go to our test code. We have to include this in our test and see what happens. So let me just copy this. If I copy this, I'll have to add something up here. Say describe. So we are testing reverse array function. Let me get rid of this. So 1, 4, 3, 2 are the elements here. 1, 4, 3, 2. The reverse array should contain 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, save and let's test. see, one test passed, one failed. The first test passed, that is test for the array of 3 elements. Then the second one was failed. Okay, let's correct something here, not 3, 4. So this for 4 elements. We'll see it again. So it failed for 4 elements but passed for 3 elements because our code only takes care of arrays of size 3, or arrays with number of elements equal to 3. So what do we do now, guys? We'll try to tweak this code to accommodate an array of any size. So what we do first is, let's go back to our board. From our board here, you can see that a.length is equal to 3. So that means the length of this array here is 3. 1, 2, 3. So had it been our a contains 4 elements, a.length would have been 4. If a contains 5 elements, a.length would have been 5. So what does it mean? That this value here, the value here, 3 in this case, is being tagged a.length. So what we'll do now is we'll go back to our code. We'll change this 3, or we'll replace this 3 with a.length. Control S. Run test again. Good. Both tests passed, as you can see. First test passed, second test passed. Very, very good. Now guys, let's move over to HackerRank and run this test again. Before we run it on the platform, we are going to write the code again. So after writing the code here, we are going to run the code by clicking this button. After that, we'll submit the code. So the code will be tested against several test cases, so that we'll get the final result on whether the code is correct or not. Let's start. Okay, let's check to see if what we wrote is okay. There is no mistake. I think the code is okay. It's looking good and nice. Okay, let's run the code. Very good. Very, very good. Now we submit the code so that it tests the code against other test cases. Okay, here we're having up to 8 different test cases. And all test cases passed. Congratulations, you solved this challenge. Very, very good. You know, I'll be hosting this code on GitHub. So for those that would also like to have access to the question, I will screenshot this and save my VS Code, so that when I host to GitHub, it will also be loaded as well. Okay, let me copy new file, test here. Okay, image.png. I will rename it to arrays ds challenge. Arrays ds challenge.png. Very good. Okay, now I'm going to create a new empty Git repository in my current folder. Okay, Git repository created. As we all know, the default branch here should be master. Let's confirm that by running git status here on branch master. So you're on branch master, which is the default branch. You're going to change, or you're going to move from master to main by running this git branch move from master to main. Okay, let's see if it has moved from master to main by running git status. Good, we are on main branch now. Okay, next let's stage these files. We are gonna stage arrays ds challenge.png and arrays ds solution.js. Let's go. Okay, let's check what we typed. Let's correct something here. Arrays ds or the hyphen before challenge. So arrays ds challenge the png, arrays ds solution.js. Okay, let's stage these files. Enter. Good. Let's commit both files. Or commit message add arrays ds challenge and solution. Enter. Good. Next, we'll stage our third file, the JavaScript test file, arrays ds solution.test.js. Let's go. Git add arrays ds solution.test.js. Okay, file stage. We'll commit this file. Git commit test file. Good, successfully committed. Now we'll go to our source control. Click here. Now you can see this. Click on this button to publish to GitHub. Publish to GitHub as a public repository. Publishing to a public repository. Uploading files. Hope you can see that. Our files have been uploaded. The 3 files have been uploaded to GitHub. So let's open on GitHub to see the files that we just uploaded. Now these are the 3 files that we uploaded. Arrays ds challenge.png contains the question, arrays ds solution.js with the solution or the code, and arrays ds solution.test.js, the test code. The links to the public repository I just created, the HackerRank challenge I just solved, and my GitHub account have been provided in the description below. Please follow me on GitHub and on all the other platforms listed in the description below. Guys, if you enjoyed the video, please like, comment and share it. Subscribe to my YouTube channel for more content, and don't forget to turn on all notifications so you never miss an update. Thank you for your support. I remain your boy, Pascal.